Well, good morning.
Good morning.
And I'd like to call this meeting to order.
Yes.
Do a roll call.
Charles Smith,
Here.
Tommy Bogus, Patrick Brown,
Here.
Deb Frank Finan,
Here.
Patricia Avery, Richard Helton, Steve Summers,
Here.
Jim. Yes. Jim Goss. Okay, Diane Marlin,
Here.
Dennis Roberts,
Here.
Geraldo Rosales, Katina Wiltshire. Here. Anna Olge. Here. We have a quorum.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
Nice to meet you.
Need approval of the agenda, please. Motion
I'll make a motion that we approve.
Second.
and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Okay. Is there any audience participation?
Okay.
Yes, come forward.
Stand up here.
Good morning, my name is Marlon Mitchell. I'm actually the founder and co-director of First Followers, which is a not-for-profit agency here in Champaign. So what brings me here this morning is, I just wanted to talk about a program that I represent. So my not-for-profit, we deal with individuals who are involved with the criminal justice system, individuals that are returning home from prison, and also those individuals who have been involved with the criminal justice system. So one thing I wanted to highlight was a program that we just launched this week, in our first week, but we did this program last year. It's a 14-week program, and it's targeting 18 to 24-year-old African-American males. One of the things I wanted to bring forth and talk about the program is that it provides an opportunity for those individuals who have been involved with the criminal justice system that are 18 to 24-year-old and looking for opportunities. What we did last year, we had a 14-week program where we taught them workforce development skills, soft skills, and different things like that. Last year, it was on a small scale. We had 10 individuals that came in and they participated in the 14 weeks. But along the way, we had some training, workforce development training, like I said, but we also had an educational component that was built in for the first 8 weeks of the program. One of the things that we wanted to do is address some of the literacy, some of the math literacy, and then also some of the social identity. So I would say the program was a success. 7 out of 10 graduated, and they went on, a couple guys went on to further their education. We were able to place a couple of guys into the workforce. But I say this because this year we're launching this program again. We just started it this week. It's got another 10 African-American males between the age of 18 and 24. And one of the things that we want to do is not only have it as a project, but we want to institutionalize this. So the first year it became our own budget where we fundraised and we came up with the money to fund it. This year we got a small grant, or a small amount of money from the WIOA grant, and I just want to thank you all for that. But one of the things we want to build towards is to institutionalize it, because we do see these individuals in our community that are emerging adults and they're kind of floating in between what is next. Oftentimes they haven't finished their high school diplomas. Oftentimes they're unemployed, they don't have any kind of work history. So we want to be that conduit and that bridge to kind of help them into the workforce, or wanting further their education, or picking up their education where they left off. So what we want to do today, I have several of my mentors, unpaid volunteer staff that participated in the program last year and are participating in the program this year. But we just want to make sure, I want them to come forward, because this wouldn't be possible without the help of them. Another thing I want to point out is that this is volunteer labor, but it's a need, it's a critical need. There are gaps in services here in Champaign for the 18 to 24-year-old African-American men. We all know this. And we also want to be intentional because of the spike in gun violence and crime. One of the things that I did do, and I was very intentional wearing this sweatshirt because of the point that it highlights last year's program. But on the back, I have 3 individuals that started with the program that are no longer here. And when I say here, I'm not saying the program, I'm saying here, period. And one of them happens to be my brother because of gun violence. So these are things that we see on a daily basis. But, like I said, there's gaps in the services, and me being a concerned citizen and a community member, I think that, I mean, we're doing some great things in Champaign. I live in Champaign, Garden Hills neighborhood. We're doing some great things, but I think that we have to expand our reach. And by the RPC and the board, the #1 funding agency here in Champaign County, I think there's money out there where we can expand our reach because the need is critical. And as you'll see, as I bring up my facilitators and my mentors, you'll see that they have a passion for this work, but also believe that they should be paid for their work. They have the credentials, they have the passion, they have the knowledge, and they have the care. And with that being said, I would like to just bring up, who wants to come first? Sorry.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Hope y'all staying warm. I'm not. Just to kind of go off what Marlon is saying, a little bit about my background. I just completed my master's in nonprofit management and social services at University of Illinois. That's part of my background. I also have a background in small business development. That's my undergrad. And I'm also one of those youth who were misdirected, misguided. I'm originally from Chicago, lower south side, more or less Robert Taylor area. So I understand violence, I understand being underprivileged, I understand how to connect with these guys. I also had a background. I cleaned all that up. So now this is more of a giving back and redirecting. I wish somebody had some type of program like this when I was growing up, because it could have really touched these guys and connected with them and showed them that you are much more than just what society dictates to you. You have something to offer. There's a brain in there. You know, everybody has this mind, but we sort of negate that mind to just a small box. So with that said, with the program we doing now, Go Mad, my part in this program is to bring first self-analysis and show the different strengths, how they think, the learning style. Nobody never told them that this is how this works, and give them a career path to go on. Take these strengths and use it into areas where you might be good as an engineer. We get from a couple of our past students, one of them now is a truck driver. You know, he's doing well. The other one, James, he went and got a construction license. So we put them on the right path. The second part I bring to this program is financial literacy, which is a big thing. You gotta be able to handle money. You gotta be able to know about credit, how to build credit, the banking systems, how do the banking system work. A lot of these guys, and I know a lot of adults my age and older who've never had a bank account. You know, and that's part of this issue of this cycle. If you don't know about these things or these different how to get out this cycle, and nobody's around you showing you this, then how do you break this cycle? And that's what this Go Mad program is about. It's about another way of learning, a different way. Where the education, I would say, it sort of fell off in the ditch, and they didn't get this information. And you would think that everybody had this information today, but that's still not true. And it's prevalent when you go back into these underprivileged communities. So that's really the part of what I'm bringing up. And I would say that, like working with Marlon and James, they really helped me see, as I help these guys, they help me see further. So, and I think I met these guys, I think it a lot, and I think this program is really underappreciated in these type of communities. We really need to see more of these type of programs. That's all I think I'd like to say at this time. If anybody have any questions, I can kind of go over a little bit of the program, what my part is. Anybody have any questions? Yeah.
Yeah, I see. It would seem like that partnering with the school system would be really an important community action for you folks to go into the school system and also talk about the opportunities that are being offered outside of the school if they're not being met in the school.
Right.
And the other thing I wanted to say was, do you find that these individuals have very strong family connections? Do they come from families that are disorganized or non-functional, or do they come from families that are pretty strong and are trying to mentor them as well?
A lot of them come from broken families. Let's say no fathers in the house. And these families are sort of stuck in the same practice.
Yeah.
They don't have that, like I said, with the credit. Nobody talked to them about, okay, this is revolving credit. This is open-end credit. Some of them don't even have credit or don't even know about getting a credit card. They're using them little Visa cash cards. And you know, that takes away money. We gotta, you know, and one of the things that I'm actually about to go over is Black Wall Street, how the dollar bounce. You gotta learn how to bounce the dollar. What does that mean, bouncing the dollar? You know, when you're paying rent, you're not paying into a house. Everybody buy a house, but a few people own it. You know, and last year we had this discussion because I was talking to some of the guys. I said, yeah, but don't you want to buy a house? And they said, well, I want to buy a house, man. I mean, I said, yeah, but you're paying for somebody else's house. You're paying for somebody else's investment. So they don't see these things, and they not practice. That's where we bring the light. You know, and we still have connections with a lot of them. A few of them, and they even set up like E-Trade accounts. We talked about stocks. We went over buying ETFs, exchange traded funds. We talked about mutual funds. We got in all that. They never heard about this stuff. You know?
Great.
So I wanted to respond a little bit towards your question or your comment about tying in with the Uniform School District or the school districts. So what happens with our program, oftentimes the people that are providing or facilitating and mentoring have a criminal background. So that's a barrier to get into the school system. So, I mean, we've had conversations. We've had after-school programs where there's a little bit more flexibility where we can. And some of the things that we're talking about, even with Reverend Comer, I'm not sure if you're familiar with him, but he has a midnight basketball program. As a matter of fact, tonight we've been invited in to come talk about the GOMAT program because he says, he's contacted me and he says, the demographic or the population that we're serving with this GOMAT project is the kids that he has or the emerging adults that he has. And so he wants us to come out and talk about that, our lived experiences, where we are, how did we get there, those different things. Because it takes communication. And we all know sometimes there's a lot of breakdown in formal education. And traditional education is not for everybody the way the school systems are set up. And I'll just be honest with that. And I can speak from experience because I do research. I'm a PhD student, 5th year in the College of Ed. So these are some of the things that I research. And this has inspired me not only to be from a theoretical lens of cultural responsiveness, but also as a practitioner. What does that look like in my community?
Okay, gentlemen, thank you.
I do want to make a point. Thank you for your information, and I appreciate the work that you're doing in our community. And Marlon and I have had opportunities to meet and kind of discuss how do we connect with some of our young men in our community and in our district. Maybe through Sheldon Turner's program. He works with a lot of our young men, and Marlon himself is a huge asset and is able to come in, right, and share some of these nuggets of valuable information. So the conversations have started in terms of how do we do it and still honor the policies that are set forth by the district and still get that connection between homeschool and community. So it is a conversation that is still ongoing.
Any other comments?
Thank you. We appreciate the work that you are doing, and we've been talking a lot about first followers at the City of Champaign because of the great work that you're doing. We have run into this issue. It's not, I think it's a Unit 4 policy, but it's state law. So it may be, we might want to talk about advocating with our legislators around this issue of, if you have a felony conviction, you're not allowed to volunteer within the schools. We've run into it on gun violence issues. Truce has wanted to come in, and they've had some of those same issues. So that's maybe a conversation you and I can have outside of here. I agree that you all need more funding. We're looking at some of that at the City of Champaign, but I would urge our RPC to look at that as well. Certainly the age group that you're talking about getting at and the skills that you are providing is what it's going to take to transform their lives and also our community away from the gun violence. I think you're aware of, but if you're not, please do get in touch with Tracy Parsons with the Goal Getters program, because although districts involved with that a little bit, because of it being outside of school, there may be some more opportunities, and we certainly would love your expertise. So thank you for being here.
Mayor Marlin.
Last month, we learned about a program that RPC is starting that targets this very same age group, I think 18 to 24, for job training. And what kind of overlap do you have with that particular program? I can't remember the name of it. It was a brand new grant. Anyone remember?
So the organization, I think, is included in that initiative. To my understanding, staff were negotiating with First Followers on their agreement, and I'm not sure where we are on those negotiations.
Yeah, so I'm assuming you're talking about the YARP grant?
Yeah.
The youth adult, okay. Yeah, so yeah, we put together a proposal for that. So we are in negotiations with that. And I just want to make, the point, Chief Cobb, there's great work that's being done all over Champaign and Urbana, because we're all aware of what's going on, right? So what are the answers? And I think we have a unique, when I say we, First Followers, we have a very unique position because we are closest to the problem, so we understand what the solution should be. It has to be a multi-pronged approach. It can't be over-policing. It can't be the traditional models that we've used in the past. It doesn't have to be that way. And one of the things, there's an education component. And I really press the education component because I've researched this and I've studied this. This is what I do. Not only sitting in a cubicle, reading tons and tons of literature, but sitting here and getting a lived experience. And when I talk about lived experiences, I've lived it. And it really, really hit home here less than 6 months ago. So there's nobody can tell me what exactly is going on in my community when I see it on a day-to-day basis. I've had conversations where people are trying to understand, how do you recruit the individuals in your program? We don't have to recruit, they find us because of the credibility that we have. They understand that we're going to keep it simple, very simple. There's got to be a transformation in the education system, and we all know how that is. So it's a non-traditional education system that we use. It's non-traditional in a setting where we use culturally responsive practices and techniques. I learn best from people that look like me, who understand my plight, understand my situation. That's simple, but we're not going to get that unless it comes from the community. It's a top-down, it's a bottom-up approach. That's the way I look at it. The paradigm needs to shift. And we started this last year as an exploration, just off of my research. And when I presented it to the group, everybody bought in. Facilitators have come in. Professionals have come in and wanted to know, how are we doing it? And I honestly believe one of the things, for example, one of the things that we were missing was the trauma piece. Now, I know everybody's throwing around this term trauma-informed care, but what does that really, really mean? What does that really, really look like? And we saw it. I saw it. I saw the young man coming in 10 o'clock in the morning with issues where they haven't eaten all day. They haven't eaten this morning, may not eat all week. I saw them coming in with You know, I don't understand how an 18, 19-year-old could be homeless. I don't understand that. Not in this community when we got millions and millions of dollars. To this point, I do not understand it. We have 2 young men that's 19, 20 years old that's homeless, but they're showing up for the program. So there's a lot of different things that we have to bring into this, but we're there and we're here just sharing our knowledge, our communication with these young men, because they just need an opportunity. And they're not going to get it with the traditional ways that we've been approaching things. And I'm staying firm in that, because as time ticks along, more and more shootings are going to continue to occur. More and more funerals are going to continue to happen. And all these tragedies are going to keep compounding and compounding. And when that happens, it just compounds in the trauma. And I can speak that because I'm still not right for my brother's death. You know, it's still fresh in my mind. I had to bury it.
RPC panel, do you have any further questions? We're on a time limit here, so. Any other further questions? All right, gentlemen, thank you so much for coming. Appreciate it. We did hear you. Item 4 is the minutes on the agenda. It's the RPC draft meeting minutes from November the 16th. Is there a motion to accept the minutes?
Second.
We have a motion. We have a second. Any discussion about the minutes? There being no discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Item B is a special RPC draft meeting minutes from December the 14th. Is there a motion to approve the minutes? Yes, sir. Okay. All right. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, very good. Thank you, Dennis. Is there any discussion on the minutes? There being no discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Very good. Thank you. Item 5, Consolidated Financial Reports.
Sure. So you have November and December consolidated financials. So the fund balance at the end of November was around 10.8 million. Receivables were 583,000. As of the end of December, it was 10.5 million with about 845,000 in receivables, which is not atypical as we close out the calendar year. And, you know, I'm pleased to say that, you know, our reimbursements continue to come in despite the government shutdown, so we're very pleased about that. So I request approval of November and December 2018.
Very good. Thank you, Betty. So the November 30, I'm sorry? Oh, yes, absolutely. I'm moving that way now. Okay. So I need a motion for the approval of consolidated financial reports, please.
So I'll make that motion, please.
All right. Second. Is there any discussion? There being no discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Item 6 is list of bills, Betty.
Sure. So you have the list of bills also from November and December, and the volume is quite high given the significant expenditures for emergency shelter and utilities, lots of direct training for workforce development as well as supportive services. So, but there's nothing unusual to report in this list of bills.
All right. Very good. Is there a motion to approve the list of bills?
So moved.
Thank you, Steve. Is there a second?
Second.
Mayor Marlin, thank you. Is there any discussion? No discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Item 7 is the action items. The first one is the appointment of the community member nominating committee, which I had the opportunity to chair that up. And the nominee the name was placed in for nomination is Anna Ugly. Okay, I'm going to have trouble with that for a while.
It's okay.
So I need a motion to approve the nomination, please.
Motion to approve.
Is there a second?
Sure, I'll make a second.
Very good. Is there any discussion?
good luck.
There you go. Well put. All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, very good, thank you. Item C is the budget amendment. Betty?
Sure. So I have before you 3 budget amendments. These would be additions to the FY19 budget that you approved in November. The first one is for supportive housing. This is for HUD, rapid rehousing, and because this HUD grant runs on a program year that is July through June, we have to segregate those funds by program year. So this is an additional $26,000 from HUD for rapid rehousing. Also, we have Department 848, which is for traffic safety forecasting. This is $184,200 from IDOT, Federal Highway Planning and State Planning and Research Funding to provide a safety forecasting tool or develop a safety forecasting tool to estimate crashes and projections of average traffic volume that'll drive our corridor studies and future intersection safety enhancements. The third one is for a NICOR energy efficiency grant in the amount of $85,000. This is incentive funding that'll be used in the northern part of Champaign County, primarily in Rantoul for NICOR customers, and it will braid our weatherization funding with NICOR funding to provide enhanced services for more clients. So if we perform successfully, we can serve an additional 10 or more households because there's funding available. So I request approval of these additions to the 19 budget.
Very good, thank you, Betty. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Okay, thank you, Mayor Marlowe. Second? Thank you, Tim. Any discussion? Okay, no discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Being none, motion carried. Thank you. Approval of weatherization bid.
That's me. Good morning. You have a memo in your packet for a review of the bids that we received for the weatherization contracts that would begin effective February 1st, 2019. Our last procurement was in 2017, and so we went out for competitive bids for our weatherization program for the contractors. So what you have in your memo is a list of all of the contractors that submitted proposals to be contractors for our weatherization program. And so in there we have 3 mechanical and material labor proposals that were brought forth, and 2 architectural and 1 appliance bid. We intended to go forward with at least 3 contractors in both mechanical and architectural and 1 appliance. And so we're requesting the Commissioner's approval to execute contracts with all of the proposals and the companies that have come forth with their bids. And I brought all of the proposals here. There's quite a bit of information here, so I didn't include that in the packet, but if you're interested in reviewing their actual proposals, they're here, and I can field any questions that you have related.
Is there a motion for the weatherization?
So moved.
Is there a second?
I have a question.
We'll get there.
Second.
Okay, thank you. Is there any discussion, Mayor Marlowe, or Mayor Hyman?
Location of companies?
Good question. Let's see here. I believe, I'd have to get the specifics, and I can look real quick here, but I know 1 is out of the Decatur area. I think that the rest are local, but I can look real quick.
Do we, maybe it doesn't matter if there weren't any other bids or, weren't any that were sort of within the range, but if they were close, I guess I'd want us to go below.
So this represented all of the bids that we received. I mean, this work is becoming lower and lower margin in terms of the state guidelines and how much we can charge for labor and materials. The state establishes the catalog. So this weatherization funding, there's not a lot of margin for contractors, so there's not a lot of interest. So this represented all of the bids that we received.
Are we, I'm trying to, sorry. Are we doing things to try to get the information about the bid packages out to sort of non-traditional bidders and make sure that we get diverse companies involved?
So this go around, we actually We definitely put information out with existing contractors. We did radio ads. We put out information within supply stores, traditional news gazette ad, as required. We were really trying to do anything we can because we were really looking for additional contractors. Like Betty said, you know, we're increasing the work that we're doing, so we naturally want more contractors so we're able to deliver on what we have the capacity to do.
Does RPC have a spot on the website where contractors can sign up so that they're informed of opportunities for bids as they come up?
We actually did put this on the website also. I don't know that that's exactly what you're asking.
Yeah, so I know like at the city of Champaign, we have a way for contractors to tell us that they want to be on a list so that as bids come up, then we can make sure we tell them about it and that they are aware of them. I mean, I don't know that that'll get to your diverse contractors or not, but at least that then they don't have to be monitoring all the time or catch that radio ad.
And that is also something, both City of Champaign and City of Urbana, we do work closely with them, and they push the information out to all their contractors also.
Great, thank you.
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The motion carried. Thank you. Okay. Head Start, early Head Start, and that is Brandy.
Good morning. In your packet, you should have received the November management report and electronically the December management report for 2018. Back in November, excuse me, I submitted the Early Head Start expansion grant to serve more infants, toddlers, and pregnant women. According to the Office of Head Start, programs should be hearing something within the next month. So hopefully by the next time I see you, we'll have some good news. Currently, Illinois State Board of Education reviewers are monitoring the preschool for all classrooms at all of the centers. They should be completed, the observations should be completed in February. The final results should be out to the programs by May. At this time, we are at full enrollment for Head Start and Early Head Start. We do have a wait list of 88 Head Start children and 151 Early Head Start children, which totals 239 children altogether. We are currently serving 20 children in foster care. Since September, we have served 42 homeless families, and of those families, 9 families have acquired housing. So we are still working with those families, and we will continue to work with them and help them find resources within the community.
Very good. Thanks, Brandy. Is there a motion for the financial and service area report? Is there a second? Second. Okay, very good. Thank you. Is there any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Very good. Motion carried. Thank you. Next is program updates.
Sure, so you have a memo in your packet. Baker Tilly of Oak Brook completed the single audit for Champaign County, of which the RPC is a part, for the fiscal year ending December 31st, 2017. I have a copy of the document here, but I've also indicated the link on the county's website where you can review the details of the audit. Head Start was chosen as the major fiscal program to be reviewed by the external auditors, and I'm pleased to report again this year that there were no fiscal or programmatic findings related to the Regional Planning Commission, so we're very pleased about that. We're working very hard on a number of new grants and contracts that we will bring to the board at the next meeting, one of which is the Independent Service Coordination to serve disabled clients in an expanded geographic region, and a Workforce Innovation Program, which will be inclusive of Douglas County as of July the 1st. And we're also planning for a major monitoring effort by the State of Illinois Department of Commerce of our Community Services Block Grant Program at the end of February. That's what I have. We just placed the audit, this is just informational. The county board has already reviewed and approved it.
So no motion. All right, next is item B, Betty Krueger, Human Resource Director.
Good morning, everyone. The Human Resources reports submitted in your packets include personnel transactions from November 6th through January 7th. The transactions for this time of year are very typical. We typically see a lower level of applicants during the holidays. So people searching for jobs usually pick up after holidays, and our staffing strategies will also increase to support the expansion of particularly community services grants that Betty has spoken about earlier today. The Human Resources Department is also currently finishing the final details on our annual comprehensive affirmative action plan. We are working with, as I said, community services on staffing strategies that will support significant program expansion. We are also, additionally, we are rolling out a new employee assistance program, and supervisor training will occur, we hope, in mid-February. So supervisors will need to be trained on the referral process for the employee assistance program. And then finally, our senior management team will be reviewing a demo of a comprehensive performance management system that will help us provide a more efficient and effective way for approaching continuous performance management strategies. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions, panel? Very good. Thank you, Becky. We'll move into item C, which is Lisa Benson.
So in your packet, you have a packet from me that actually goes over some of the things that have already been discussed. We are undergoing a significant amount of expansion within my division. As Betty referenced, the Independent Service Coordination Program, as of July 1, will expand from 3 counties to 13. Also affected, we'll be taking Douglas County into the work that we're doing with workforce innovation. Weatherization has also expanded. We actually provide some form of service in Macon County, Vermilion, Ford, and Iroquois counties in addition to Champaign. So that goes back to our wish to expand the contractors that we have. We will be working on the Garden Hills Initiative program, expanding some staff in that way to do the specific initiative that we would wish to do in the Garden Hills area that will focus on energy efficiency. We also in the division have been working to provide more data to you. So in this packet, what you will find, and you will receive this on a quarterly basis, is data reports specific to the majority of the programs in my division. And so I'm not going to go over those in detail. As you can see, there's lots of numbers, lots of performance data, but you will receive those on a quarterly basis. And if you have specific questions, I'll do my best to answer them. And if I can't, I can always go back to the program managers and get you detailed responses. So I just think it's important for you to have the data on a regular basis.
Very good. Thank you, Lisa. So we'll do two things. We'll ask for an acceptance of the Human Resource Director's report and the Community Service Director's report. You want to do that one too, Rita? All right. All right. Very good.
Good morning. At this time, the PCD staff is in the process of developing several budgets for fiscal year 2020, considering that some of our programs runs from July to June. Then we receive word from IDOT that they will renew the Human Services Transportation Plan funding for the Region 8, which comprise 12 different counties in central Illinois, to continue the work that we have been doing there. We are also in the process of developing the QATS budget, and there are new guidelines for developing that budget based on the new administration. And we are also working with the RPC Technical Committee on developing the RPC membership budget, and there are some changes that will be done to the structure of the services that we provide under the RPC membership. My hope is to bring the RPC membership budget to you at the next RPC board meeting for discussion. We also are starting the process of the Census 2020. RPC has been the lead agency on the census process for several years. Then staff is starting the process of reviewing and updating the 2020 Census Participant Statistical Areas Program. This is a process in which the U.S. Census Bureau invite participants to review and update the selected statistical area boundaries for the 2020 census. For the purpose of data tabulation following the U.S. Census Bureau guidelines and criteria. These data will also be used, or the way that we shape those statistical areas will also be used for providing the annual community service estimates and the economic census. Then we just started this process. We'll have a webinar with the Census Bureau next week. Staff is also working on the preparation of the infra grant for the Curtis Road overpass. It was just announced at the end of December. It's due on March 4th. Then we are working with the Village of Savoy staff on preparing and resubmitting an application for that grant. Staff has also been really busy working on the AMREN database and tracking initiative. We reported some time back that AMREN hired us to develop the database and the dashboard for tracking all the initiatives that they have been working on with the CBOs regarding energy efficiency. Then at this time, we have developed the database. We are in the process of developing the dashboard, and we already started the data collection from some of the CBOs that are providing that data to us for tracking. Once this is launched, probably we can do a demo to you on what we have been doing with all that. This is a tracking process that we are doing for the whole state, for all the CBOs working with AMREN. Also, the focus of QATS this year is on finishing the Champaign Urbana Long-Range Transportation Plan for 2045. At the previous meeting, I provided a summary of the public input that was discussed with the steering committee on January 16. We have already developed goals and objectives, and the 5 pillars that will be how the LRTP will be organized, and those pillars are safety, economy, multimodal connectivity, equity, and environment. These pillars for the plan were developed based on the public input and input from the steering committee, and we are moving now into developing future scenarios. Then we'll have a planning working group on February 5th to start discussing what do we want to model using the models that we have in place to evaluate the future for Champaign-Urbana. Then stay tuned, I'll let you know what will be the final outcome of that. And lastly, I want to mention that on February 12th and 13th, I have been invited by Federal Highway to attend a peer exchange in Boston. And this is related to a tool developed by Federal Highway, which we use for completing the Curtis Road corridor study. Then they asked me to attend the peer exchange to share our experience on working with that tool. And the focus will be mainly on the connection between planning and environment and the NEPA process that need to be put in place when you are doing projects. That's my update. Any questions?
Just one.
Yes.
So what you're going to do is help the Census Bureau redefine these the census tracts for all the neighborhoods in the community?
Not necessarily the census tracts. There are specific guidelines that we need to follow, and the guidelines tell us how much population, what kind of boundaries we can have, and all that. Then it doesn't get to to the detail of the census tract. Is bigger than that, but we are working on that.
I see.
Yeah.
But would we expect to change in the boundaries of the different census tracts eventually?
Hopefully, but I don't know if that would be possible. We are waiting for the webinar that they can give us more guidance on what can be changed and how can be changed.
I see.
Yeah.
Any other questions? I'd ask that you accept the reports from the Human Resource Director, the Community Service Director, and Rita Black from the Planning and Community Development Services. I need a motion.
Sure, I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Dennis. Second.
Second.
Very good, thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Thank you. Now it's up to our illustrious leader here.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm going to be brief. In the interest of time, in front of you, you have the, I think first after a number of years, annual report that the RPC will be releasing today, highlighting a lot of the work that our divisions and various programs have been in serving our community. I think when I first started here, one of the challenges I expressed to the Commission was that it's very difficult to explain what the RPC does because we do so many things for the community, and trying to figure out how to even message what it is that we do. And so this is an attempt, I think, for us to explain to the community what the organization is doing on the community's behalf. And so you will see in this report not only data that's being shared with you in terms of who we are serving or who we are impacting in the community, but there are also stories that are also being shared with you in terms of those that have received services from RPC and hopefully how we have impacted their lives. We will continue to build on this report. One of the other things we're working on, and because we wanted to get this released at the beginning of the year, working with staff right now to compile demographic information on all of our programs so that we're able to share again with the community where and who it is that we are serving. So that information hopefully we'll have that for you at the next RPC meeting, so then you can get a sense of, and you can share that with your staff as well, again, to see who it is that RPC is serving with all of our programs, including our economic development. Who are we providing loans to? And so I think with some of the questions, Mayor, you had in terms of who we're bringing on to work on our projects, I think we also want to know who it is that we're serving throughout the service territory that RPC impacts. And so that's all I have to share with you today.
Very good. Thank you. Is there any old business? There being none, is there any new business? I see none. All right. I ask for a motion for adjournment, please.
I'll second that.
You'll second? Good. All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, very good. Thank you. We are adjourned.